The headline medical stories that affect you and your family. This is What's Happening in Health.
Morning, everybody. Welcome to What's Happening in Health. So grateful you're waking up with us here on this Sunday morning. Got a great show for you today. The St. Elizabeth Wound Care team, one of the few in the country now using a unique patch to help patients heal. One of those patients, Terry Williams, in the house. Hello to Terry. Give me a quick wave there. And we are going to share his story of healing. He's joined by Tom Fink, the Executive Account Manager for Reaplix, which is the team behind the patch. Can't wait to share more on this discovery. And he had a unique cancer diagnosis at a young age. He now does not refer to himself as a survivor, but rather an author, a husband, a pilot, and much more. We're going to meet Robert Dames coming up. So glad to have you in-house. We're going to share his journey and what he learned along the way. But first today, we do want to begin with a quick headline in healthy caregiving. Having a positive life outlook could protect you from memory loss. A study published in the journal Aging and Mental Health that looked at thousands of people ages 50 and over for 16 years found people who said they had higher levels of psychological well-being had better scores on memory tests. Study's authors say the reasons are not quite clear right now, but it is known that depression and anxiety can impact brain health. On now to our top story this half hour is that Weight No More. Walking will help you lose weight. You just may need to take a few more steps every day. Of course, the best kind of exercise is really the kind that you will actually do on a regular basis. For some, that might be an organized fitness class, such as hot yoga.
It helps your mindfulness, especially this is a bar intensity class.
For others, it might be indoor cycling on your own or with others. But Ohio's MyFitnessSuite's trainer and co-owner Michelle Menke says when it comes to improving your health,
I think everyone should move. It doesn't matter how. Go on a walk, lift some weights, get in the pool.
But since a pool may not be convenient, walking may be the perfect fit because almost anyone can do it anywhere. The outdoor time can also often help body and soul.
I do mental health therapy on the side, and I tell all my patients the same thing. Just move your body. Move your body for 10 minutes, and you will feel so much better mentally and physically.
If you do want to walk for weight loss, however, the American College of Sports Medicine says you have to up your time spent walking. The traditional recommendation is about 150 minutes a week, a little more than 20 minutes a day. For weight loss, you need 250 minutes a week, which is at least 35 minutes a day. And if you can't get all that done at one time, don't sweat it. You need to do about 30 to 50 minutes. That's the ideal for weight loss. And a recent NIH study found 2 shorter walks a day, just as effective for weight loss as those who took the longer walks. All right, just ahead, men reminding men about the importance of good health. An update on a story we've been following in Healthy Diversity. And we can't wait to talk to Terry and Tom. We're going to share the remarkable patch and how it's helping in wound healing. It's coming up on What's Happening in Health.
This portion of What's Happening in Health is sponsored by Metro and Gastro Health.
In our Ask a Nurse segment today, we are asking, do intermittent fasting diets work? Well, an analysis published by the British Medical Journal showed the method can be just as effective as diets that cut calories overall when it comes to weight loss. In intermittent fasting, people avoid eating for certain periods ranging from 16 hours to 2 days. The study also found alternate day fasting was more effective than other types of intermittent fasting. On now to a local man we've been following who recently had a heart transplant and then had to have a part of his lower leg removed. You may remember Jamie Mahaffey. He is a former tri-state basketball coach who we first met recovering from a heart transplant at Vanderbilt University. Later, we talked to him where he worked in College Hill. And we were talking to him about his lower leg amputation that happened after that transplant. Now, Jamie is on to his next steps. He is now sharing his story with others in hopes that men will start talking about their own health. Here's what he told us he learned in this journey.
Be open for change. I think the hardest thing for men to do is to open up. We don't like to admit our failures. We do not like to people to see the negative side of us. But one thing I've learned to do is be open.
Love that. Jamie just championed a men's health program this past week at the Center for Closing the Health Gap. If you'd like more information about taking charge of your health, you can find a link to that at the Health Gap at what'shappeninginhealth.com. All right, on now to our wonderful team from St. Elizabeth Healthcare. Tell us who you are and what you do.
Yes, I'm Tom Fink from Reaplix. I'm the Executive Account Manager covering this area.
And what is Reaplix?
Reaplix is a blood biologic advanced wound care company. We specialize in a therapy called 3C patch, which is the only 100% autologous therapy that's out there.
So was the company started for this purpose?
Absolutely.
Ah, well, lucky us.
Yes, yes.
And lucky us to have great patients. Give us a little history, Terry.
I'm sorry?
Give us a little history.
Well, I guess it goes back about 10 or 11 months ago. I had a little red blister on my second toe of my foot, and it turning color on me, and finally got into Dr. Worley, and as soon as I went in, he says, "We're going to have to admit you in the hospital right away." He said, "You have dry gangrene set in within 4 days." And I never knew it. I had blocked arteries in my legs.
My understanding is you had some of that because you've lost a lot of weight since then, correct?
About 120 pounds.
Whoa! All right, stand by. We need to tell people who Dr. Worley is, so we want to share your story. That's like a whole person.
Yeah.
Good for you. And as you mentioned, doctors at St. Elizabeth Healthcare are now using this patch. And for Terry, as he started to tell us, it's been life-changing. Watch this.
How many times I get to ring it?
His name is Terry Williams, and he certainly has something to celebrate. You see, just a short time ago, after part of his foot was removed due to an infection,
The vascular doctor told me I was going to lose half my leg.
that changed when he met this guy,
Mr. Terry, hey, Doc, how you doing?
Dr. Greg Worley.
Dr. Worley said, "We're going to save it." And he did.
Dr. Worley did it with the help of what's called the 3C patch. It was full of Terry's personal infection-fighting cells and platelets.
Platelets are full of growth factors that stimulate new blood growth, new tissue growth, and new skin growth.
As this video provided by Reaplix shows, to create the 3C patch,
what we do is we take the patient's blood, we spin it down in a centrifuge, and we create a three-dimensional patch of just the patient's own growth factors and healing factors.
the patch with those growth factors is then placed on a wound for about a week.
Those actually stimulate our patient's own body to start forming new blood vessels, new tissue, and new skin.
As this team showed me, each week a new patch is created.
And the patch is actually going to be right on top.
Little by little, Terry says, thanks to a doctor and a medical team that wouldn't give up,
He's my hero.
Terry got back on his feet. He can now walk out of this wound care center with his wife Linda of 56 years, all patched up and completely healed. So what I love about that is the complete healing. And quite often if you have a wound, boy, that does not happen. I know you know that from some of what you see. You know, you'll make progress and then it'll... So what is it about this that's so healing? Is it kind of putting things into the skin, or what's happening?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we do is by taking 18 mLs of the patient's own blood, what we do is we concentrate all the good stuff in his blood down right through our centrifuge. So we have 3 billion platelets along with 50 million leukocytes, along with Terry's fibrin of the blood, which gives the patch structure. You know, it's just a concentrated dose of the patient's own just growth factors and healing factors. You introduce that into the body where he unfortunately wasn't getting the necessary blood flow down to those lower extremity wounds. It really starts waking things up.
So then you take those and you put them in the spinner.
Yes, absolutely.
And you had to do that for how long? For each week?
20 weeks.
20 weeks. Mm-hmm. Did you see healing right away?
Oh, within about 2 or 3 weeks, I noticed it was starting to shrink.
Did you want to like, whoo-hoo?
Well, I had a long road to go, but yes, I was very happy.
But I think what's interesting is, like you said, you lost the weight, you got your blood sugars all managed. You know, if you're willing to make a wellness journey with this, Absolutely. It can be pretty dramatic.
Absolutely. You know, our goal is to get patients like Terry back to living their best life, right? And But the goal for Reaplix and 3C patch is to let Terry heal themselves. You know, let him heal himself, right? This is the only therapy that's out there that does that.
So when you started to have this healing, was it motivation then to?
Oh yeah, I mean that and the fact of wanting to get back to work. You know, I drive a shuttle bus for St. E.
And people love you.
Well, I guess.
Yeah.
He was a clinic favorite for sure.
Yeah. You know, when you're in any hospital journey, as you now know, the people that are surrounding you matter.
Very much so.
Yeah. And you know, it's always interesting, I say to people, when you're not, you always complain about work, but when you're not well, the first thing you want to do is, when can I go back to work? Isn't that the truth?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So you're back at work now?
Yes, ma'am.
And you're able to, we saw your foot, walk around on it. You look like you're doing great. Yeah. Now, is he typical for patients in healing?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a very good success rate. You know, what's really motivating about 3C patch is when the patients understand that they are healing themselves. You know, people are showing up for their appointments. They're showing up hydrated. It's a new motivation for them.
And I asked you a little bit about the research. What are the stats? Like at least 70% will have a complete healing?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are backed by one of the most robust, you know, strongest RCT studies that's been conducted in wound care. And then when you extrapolate the data out, it has an 89% chance more likely to heal versus standard of care. So it is definitely evidence-based medicine.
That, you know, and that is so important. I was looking up your title a little bit, and I found out, was it last year you were like Young Employee of the Year or New Employee of the Year?
I was Rookie of the Year.
Rookie of the Year, that's what it was. Yeah, hey,
absolutely.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
When you're, when you have people like that, doesn't it make you kind of want to go to work every day?
That's one of the highlights of my job is, you know, getting to know Terry on a personal level and getting to know his lovely wife. You know, that's a reason to wake up every day.
So are you always there when they're getting the treatment?
I do the best I can. You know, we are fortunate to partner with a lot of different clinics, so I get pulled in a lot of different directions, but I always try to make my way back as much as I can.
Well, thank you for making time for us.
Absolutely.
Final word, what would you like to say to all these people that supported this amazing journey?
I would just like to commend Dr. Worley, probably one of the best doctors I've been to in my life, and Tom and his company for what they did for me.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm with you. I think Dr. Worley, you said, fought to get this, understanding the power of the body, being given the tools to heal itself.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, God bless you. Thanks for sharing it with us. We have a link to Reaplix if you'd like more information at what'shappeninginhealth.com. Thanks, guys, for making time for us.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. All right, just ahead, a benefit beyond weight loss for those who get weight loss surgery. And we're going to meet Robert Dames. He is an author, a pilot, a husband, a father, and he wrote about his own cancer recovery journey. Can't wait to hear his road to healing next on What's Happening in Health.
This portion of What's Happening in Health is sponsored by Northern Kentucky Area Development District.
In Gut Instinct today, people who have weight loss surgery see a boost in their self-esteem within the first year of the procedure. New study from Geisinger Medical Center had patients rate their self-esteem before and after bariatric surgery. Before the procedure, the average self-esteem score was 33 out of 100. Afterwards, it jumped to 77 out of 100. Stigma related to weight is linked to depression, anxiety, and poor eating habits. In Minding Your Health today, newer kind of therapy may have you listening when you're outside a little more often. Well, it may not be the usual thing that you think about when it comes to outdoor healing. New research shows listening to bird sounds has hidden health benefits. If you listen, it's captivating. But while most of us are running around loving the great outdoors,
it's just soul healing. Like the last couple of days with it being so nice and sunny outside, it's just like a complete pivot in my mental health.
we don't realize if we tune in, our mental health could get an added boost with the soothing melody of birds. After ruling out the benefits of blue and green spaces, things like seeing trees and hearing running water, researchers found a whole host of benefits to hearing birds on our mental health that can last up to 8 hours. Part of that benefit may come from focus. It's sort of like yoga, mindfulness for your brain.
Mindfulness is really the art, actually, of paying attention to the present moment as it is without judgment.
When you see birds, they simply command your attention.
It can be a practice that you do anytime during the day, just to stop and pay attention and notice maybe your body, maybe your breathing, or even just focusing on one thing at a time can be a mindfulness practice.
But those who watch and listen in the way you just have to watch birds also appear to have less anxiety, depression, and stress in the aftermath. And you can listen to the same sounds or diverse sounds, researchers say, and get the same benefits. All right, on now to a wonderful author from the Tri-State who has recently, I guess you said took you a while, but put pen to paper. And he is here to talk about a new book called Cancer, What Now?, which I'm guessing comes from personal experience. Hello to you. Tell us who you are.
Hi, I'm Robert Dames, and I'm kind of a native to the local area. I've moved different places for right now, but have a father of 3 with a lovely, my lovely bride Beth.
And you had a lot of reasons to want to live for them, huh?
I did. Early on, when my children were still young, under 10, I was diagnosed with my first cancer. Actually, my oldest at that time was only 2 years old, and Beth had one on the way. We had one on the way at the time.
Wow. So for people not familiar, tell us what your diagnosis was.
Well, the original diagnosis was what they call plasmacytoma, which was found in my lymph nodes. It's plasma cells that don't belong there, and so it's considered cancerous. And they took care of that, and that was all completed in about a couple months' time, and I returned to work. And that was the original diagnosis. There was no health issues I had, nothing. In fact, the doctor even questioned whether it was a proper diagnosis because.
Were there symptoms that brought you in, or did you just find out a physical? Or?
The whole thing was I was laying in bed one morning and just happened to reach over and scratch under my arm and felt a very hard lump there, and. Wondered what it was. I looked the other side, it wasn't there on the other side. And I just kind of forgot about it. But as a airline pilot, I have to have a physical every 6 months. And while I was there, my aeromedical physician, who happened to also be a friend of mine because I had taught him some flying at the time, and he didn't think anything of it either. He goes, I think you're all right. Just go see your normal physician and see what he has to say. And he felt the same way. But then he finally said, you know what, let's just have it biopsied and see what it's all about. And that's where it came back, that I had this plasmacytoma.
And so then you had it treated initially how?
They removed it. And then I went through 5 weeks of radiation 5 days a week, or five days a week.
And then it was gone for a while.
Well, it was gone. It's never reoccurred. They've never found anything else there. But as a few years went by, I started noticing I started to get all this loose skin and this elasticity that I have, loss of elasticity, and started seeing some dermatologists about it, and nobody really nailed down why. Two similar diagnoses, why, and then Dr. Callan at the University Local Medical Center, who's head of dermatology there, did some blood tests, and forward in that, and there was a protein in my blood that my local oncologist was familiar with being there, but it hadn't grown or hadn't increased in any way over the years, and so he was watching it, but he didn't think it was an issue, but when Dr. Callan alerted Dr. Brennan to that, he went back and did a full workup like he did the first time and found that I had multiple myeloma.
And do they think the two were related?
They are related.
Okay.
Generally, multiple myeloma over time will migrate to the soft tissue. But in my case, it appears to have been the opposite. And that's one of the reasons why he thought the diagnosis wasn't proper.
Interesting. So we have the book cover. So why did you write Cancer, What Now several years later?
oddly enough, I was working out one day, and during that time, all of a sudden, the title, Cancer What Now, popped in my head, and I didn't think what that was all about. And it went on, and finally it just occurred to me, maybe someone or something is telling me I should share my information for other people, and they might find it useful. And so I started on that journey of writing.
So what do you feel like this read is about?
Well, it's a personal perspective with my journey on the things that I learned along the way. And a lot of it is how we can prevent having cancer, but mostly it's also about what we can do to help our doctors and help our bodies fight cancer and just have better health and better chance of winning, as I refer to it in the book.
Okay, so I don't want to, kill the ending or anything and give up the ghost, but tell me one thing that you'd like to leave us with that you did learn, that you feel like it was kind of the way you want people to remember it.
It's kind of twofold. Number one is you have to have a big why. Why do I want to win? Because without that big why, we have a tendency to give in. And that's true about everything in life. It's not just about cancer. But the other thing is we have influence on what our body does for our health. And there are so many things out there that we don't do to assist our body in healing and to being healthy. And I think that's really the biggest takeaway from that book. And there's many tips in there, mostly that I have followed and learned along the way that allowed me to become cancer-free.
Well, praise God for that. We love that. We love that
Amen.
you are a person of healing and faith. We will put a link to Amazon. It's a quick read. It's a $10 book there. And I know you're sort of just starting this journey, but I hope you'll come back as people just sort of read it and respond, because I know it's very encouraging.
Thank you. Thanks
nice
for having
work.
me.
Good to have you here. All right. Just ahead, your work shift and your risk for asthma. We'll share new research in your healthy future. Want to leave you this half hour with your healthy future. Women who work at night are more likely to have asthma than women who only work during the day. UC researchers analyzed nearly 275,000 workers and found women who worked night shifts were about 50% more likely to suffer from moderate or severe asthma. They did not find this link for men who worked at night, although researchers aren't sure why. All right, just ahead in our next half hour, a mother and daughter show how they were treated for a pain syndrome. What made all the difference in changing their lives? It's in our next half hour on What's Happening in Health.
The headline medical stories that affect you and your family. This is What's Happening in Health, sponsored by Mayfield Braden Spine.
Morning, everybody, and welcome back to our second half hour here on What's Happening in Health. So grateful you are staying with us here this Sunday morning. As many of you know, we are big fans of blood donors here at Local 12, and the Hawksworth team in studio to help us celebrate today with some of our Local 12 team. We want to welcome Dr. David O, Ashley Smith, a few friendly, familiar faces, and all the rest of this team. Give me a quick wave there. Hello. And from our Local 12 team, our general managers in the house, Franco Gentile and Tim Garrity, our news director. We are so glad they're here. We'll be talking more about why they're here in just a couple of moments, but as you might have guessed, has to do with our Donor of the Week. And we really are celebrating donors today, so believe it or not, we have a couple donors in the house who have some long-time experience. Following our first interview, we're going to meet Molly and Jean. They are both here today. Give me a hello there. There we go. Molly and Jean, good to have you here. They donate on a regular basis and are really making a difference in our community. But first, we do have a quick headline for you today in Healthy on the Go. A reminder, with some of the hotter temperatures, Metro would like to take you where you need to go in their air-conditioned comfort buses. They remind us that they have new fares that do take effect mid-July, but they also have new kids ride free policies, and they're also offering a loyalty program where you can tap and save. We have all the details of what you need to know inside the Metro area at what'shappeninginhealth.com. All right, and now to a unique program offered through Mayfield Brain and Spine. It helped one mother and daughter reduce facial pain. That facial pain, part of a condition known as trigeminal neuralgia. Both Kathy DeRosset and her mother Cheryl Crum at first thought their problem was from dental concerns. But after multiple dental procedures,
I had 2 root canals, and then I had the tooth pulled, and then I still wasn't getting any relief.
Kathy had an MRI. As Dr. Ronald Warnick of Ohio's Mayfield Brain and Spine showed me,
and we're targeting the nerve right here.
It confirmed it was indeed trigeminal neuralgia that was causing her pain.
It's a short circuit within the trigeminal nerve that leads to firing of the nerve when it shouldn't fire, and that is perceived by the brain as pain.
Kathy was diagnosed first, her mother Cheryl a few years later. Both say the facial pain is so bad.
Felt like somebody held a live wire up to my cheek. It was electrocuting me. And at one point, it was so bad that I actually thought I could smell smoke, burning sensation.
Luckily, Dr. Warnick is one of a handful of specialists in the country who specializes in treating this condition here at Ohio's Jewish hospital Mercy Health. As this demonstration shows, he uses what's called a gamma knife.
A gamma knife contains cobalt, which when it decays, it gives off gamma rays, which are, think of them as pencil-thin, almost laser beams of radiation. There are 192 that intersect on a point.
That point for both Kathy and Cheryl was the trigeminal nerve.
I have been pain-free since probably last December.
Over time, this appears to form scar tissue and stop the short-circuiting, which stops the pain.
Nope, no pain. My right side's numb, but I'd rather have the numbness than the pain.
Dr. Warnick says about 1 in 5 do experience that numbness after a procedure, but Kathy and Cheryl say the pain has stayed away. Finally, topping this half hour, look good, feel better. You likely know that Botox can reduce the number of migraine headaches per month. The team at the Advanced Cosmetic Surgery and Laser Center uses Botox for headache treatment for patients, but they say if that's not successful, there's something new researchers have now discovered. It's a diabetes drug that may also help adults lose some weight, and it could help those who suffer from migraines. Researchers at the University of Naples say migraine patients who took Liglirlitude experienced 11 fewer headaches per month. They also reported improvement in their work, study, and their ability to socially function. All right, up next, a word of caution about weed. Its growing use has some healthcare providers concerned. We explain why. And look who's in the house, our team from Hawksworth and Local 12, hanging out with us. We got a great celebration coming up next. Stay with us on what's happening in health.
This portion of What's Happening in Health is sponsored by Life Enriching Communities, NKADD, Hawksworth, and Aptiva Health.
In Aging Gracefully today, there is new data showing a growing number of older Americans are using marijuana now for both recreational and medicinal purposes. But with that comes some words of caution from medical professionals. New research published in JAMA reveals that cannabis use among people ages 65 and older surged by nearly 46% between 21 and 23. That's raising new questions about the potential health risks for older adults who do use marijuana.
I'm always cautious, and I said, look, I want to get to the root of the problem, because as much as you might find benefit in this now, there also are a lot of risks and side effects. So if you're treating it for anxiety, guess what? It can also cause anxiety. It can also increase feelings of paranoia. It can worsen your depression. It can cause mania. It can cause psychosis, not to mention interfere with a lot of your medications. And especially with older adults, we're worried about the dizziness, the drowsiness, if there's underlying cognitive impairment. Even if there isn't, delayed reaction time when you're using marijuana is a big thing.
University of Michigan study found most seniors say they use pot to relax, while many say it helps with sleep, pain relief, mental health, and a good mood. All right, how's that for a transition to our wonderful team here? So glad to have you in house today. Tell us who you are.
I'm Dr. David O. I'm the medical director and co-director of Hawksworth Blood Center.
All right, so we've had the privilege of sharing your work. We do something here each week called our Donor of the Week. This is Ashley. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so Donor of the Week, we honor those that regularly donate blood, or maybe they're first-time donors. You're going to meet two of those coming up, one of each. So we always want to recognize those people that make our mission come true, come to life, and of course that's saving lives here at home.
And we're kind of excited you're here now because one of our stories today that we are sharing is the need for blood right now is pretty great, isn't it? It's summertime and a lot of regular donors are elsewhere and whatnot. So got any types right now that you need?
Oh, O-neg, O-pos are always high on our list, so come out for a whole blood donation if you're those types.
Oh, good deal. Well, the reason we have this whole group here today is they're all fans of blood donation. And we have some Local 12 team members on that side. Yeah. And you said to me, hey, we just went away and we celebrated your partnership with Local 12. So tell me a little bit about that.
Well, we wanted to really formally give you this award that you won earlier. Hawksworth Blood Center nominated you with America's Donor Recruitment Professionals, which is a national group. It's been around and is sponsored by America's Blood Centers. This award has been around since 2003, and this year we're really pleased to have you elected to receive it. It is honoring the National Media Partner of the Year. So Liz Bonus, for all that you've done in terms of promoting blood donation through all the different media, social media, and traditional media outlets you have, we're so honored to be able to give you this award.
Oh, I am a fan. Thank you.
Yes.
Just so you know, I haven't been able to donate recently because this little iron thing keeps dropping. But I need Tim and Franco and our wonderful part of our team over here. I'm just going to move this way because part of the reason we can be partners is people like Max and whatnot. You have worked with them. Are they not just wonderful to be able to reach out to and share messages in our community?
Absolutely, yes. They make it so easy to partner with them, but it's such a blessing to be able to work with them and do the work that they do and share it with our community.
You know, I feel that way too. And I really wanted you guys here because without your support, we don't have health news as a regular part of our newscast. I think I'm most proud of the fact that in the community, you let us kind of own that. So Tim Garrity, it's just a privilege every day to be able to pitch all these stories to you. Thanks for being a fan.
Absolutely. And as I was telling these guys, I'm a regular donor as well. So, I mean, it's something where it's important to the community and the need is constant. And so I'm glad we're able to do what we can.
All right, and you're new, so I don't know if we've been able to recruit you yet.
Recruited, no, be positive,
all
right.
By
the way. But this is such a wonderful partnership, so thank you. Hawksworth, thank you for this recognition. Thank you, Liz, for all the great work that you do to bring in health to the forefront.
You know, I feel like if you're going to have a partnership award, I know there are lots of places, but I can't think of anything that impacts the direct health of our community any more than what all of you do. So I just want to, if I could applaud for all of you, I just really want to say thank you. Thank you for letting us be part of this. Thank you. Jen and I spent a lot of work trying to coordinate all these people here, so we're just glad you showed up today. All right, well, we have calorie-free donuts. We took them out, I promise, coming up for this group here. Thank you guys for having a part of it. I'm going to trade you, give you the final word.
Well, thank you so much for the years of partnership. It's really been amazing. At this meeting where you were awarded this award, I got approached by so many people saying, how can we form a partnership with the community media the way that you guys have? And so want to thank you again. You've really made a huge impact on our community and any recipient of blood. So thank you so much.
Lucky us. I'm going to pass this that way. One of the things I think was interesting was this sort of started as we would just get a picture of someone and share, and little by little you sort of started letting us know when your blood donations were going on and when you were having drives, and we got to come out, and your donors have been just amazing about stepping up and talking to us. Is that kind of the goal?
Yeah, well, we appreciate you spreading the word of donation. Right now, we only have about 3% of Cincinnati that donates, so it's you that's getting the word out every single week, every single month to please come and try and donate. If you're not a donor, it takes just a few minutes, and we appreciate you coming out, and you could be featured on Local 12 as well as the donor of the week. So
I don't know if that's a great sell or not, but Tim, I know, like, donating isn't hard.
No, I think last week when I went, is about 15 minutes.
Yeah,
and you feel good when you're done. You did something easy but yet critically important for the community.
Yeah. And we know, be positive is always needed. So, we'll be behind you, scooting it out there. I don't know if Max is a donor yet, but we do recruit. All right. Last thing, I know, Ashley, you just became a new donor.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, and it was very simple. I was a little nervous. I think if you're not nervous about something new, like maybe there's something wrong with you. So I was normal, went in, and honestly, and I'm not just saying this was a flawless experience. And I was worried about the iron situation, but we now have OrSense where it just hugs your thumb. My iron was fine, so that excuse went away out the window.
I need to go back.
Yeah, now I've donated twice since my first donation and plan to be a regular donor. It really is simple, and I did feel like, wow, I saved a life today. So
yeah, you do feel that way. So how come only 3% of the population has to feed the other 97%? What's going on with that?
We got to get the message out, right? We got to make sure people are giving it a shot. If you've donated before and had not a great experience, consider coming back in again and donating again. I think we lose a lot of first-time donors because the experience, they don't feel the impact as much, but we're working to make sure that experience is a lot better for donors as they come back and will remain faithful donors.
Yeah, you really never know when you're the one who might need some of that donated blood. If you go in for a procedure, they say, what is it that you need? If we have to give you blood, can you? And you always want it there.
Yeah, and it's so important for us as a community-centered blood center, and we provide blood to every single health system here in Cincinnati. If we're not able to do it, your friends, your family, visitors here who need our medical services at any hospital in Cincinnati are going to get their blood from us, and it's only going to be there if people donate with us.
Well, lucky us to have you. All right, thanks you guys. Thank you for the honor. Thank you for giving this to our station. We just are proud to be partners. That's about, sums it up. Yeah. All right. God bless you. All right, just ahead, the newest work hazard at the office. It's called quiet cracking, what we know about it in legal medicine. And our donors of the week are going to stick around. Molly and Jean are here. They're going to share their stories and why they choose to make a difference in our community. Stay with us on What's Happening in Health.
This portion of What's Happening in Health is sponsored by Miami University, the Vein Center of Cincinnati, and Lindner's Center of Hope.
Welcome back, everybody. In legal medicine, if you feel like work is getting a bit tougher these days, you could be headed for health concerns and much more. And it's all due to the newest trend at the office referred to as quiet cracking, according to business health specialists.
It's kind of what happens when you crack an egg. Tough to repair without changes, Beth Gifford told me. She counsels companies in workforce development and is an adjunct professor in the School of Business at Cedarville University. She says it's sort of when you notice you feel tired, depressed, or even frustrated much of the day due to lack of growth or opportunity.
And after some investigation and some time, you find out there's a crack in your foundation.
Beth says anyone who's been a builder knows then, unless you find and repair the foundation,
that crack can get bigger and bigger, and it can cause some critical issues with the workforce and the organization on the whole.
So Beth says, as an employee, if you feel stuck in a job or not valued, you need to find a manager and ask about the next step or other opportunities. See if there's a chance for training so you can grow. And if that is not the right person, ask for career counseling through your company's employee assistance program. That way, you won't crack and feel like this every day.
They still show up, they still do their work, but they're so dissatisfied, they're just disengaged.
Since a recent survey shows as many as half of us say we feel this way at work some of the time, and 1 in 5 say it's constant, she says if you don't fix it, you're likely to notice more physical symptoms, such as head and muscle aches, and even trouble sleeping and getting up to go to work in the morning.
Beth says if you've tried these steps and it doesn't seem to help, networking to find support or other professional or personal options may be your healthiest next step. All right, we want to continue now with our Donors of the Week. You've heard us talk about this. It's been a privilege to have a program here honoring those who donate blood. So tell us a little bit about who you are.
Yes, my name is Molly Blank. I've been a blood donor since I was allowed to donate. So
good for you.
Yes.
What got you started?
Actually, my sister was a blood donor before me. She's 6 years older, and I was deathly afraid of needles, but she would always let me come and watch her donate, and I was like, I can never do what you do, and she said, yes, you can. It takes not much time, and you literally save people's lives, so I started.
There is something so unique about the way you feel, like
Yes.
I tell people it's the lazy way to volunteer because it takes like 45 minutes start to finish, and you can only do it once every 8 weeks if you're a whole blood donor.
Yes.
That's hey, look, I volunteer, but not that often. And tell us a little bit about you.
Well, I had never given blood, and we had a blood drive. Molly organized it in memory of a very dear friend, and also for me, my daughter, who is fighting ovarian cancer. So I came to help at the blood drive, and I said, "Well, do you think they'd take my blood? I've always been anemic, couldn't do it." And so she went in and asked if they could take my blood, and they said yes.
So Jean is 90 years old.
No. Did you give her permission to tell that? Because I wouldn't have ever.
That's part of the story.
Okay.
It's never too late to start.
What a wonderful thing that you're healthy enough and that you can still make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
I'm blessed. Yeah. I'm truly blessed. And I have an active lifestyle, and I try to take good care of myself. But this was something, a teeny tiny something that I could do to help out.
You know, I don't feel like it's that teeny tiny. We do have a little video of what it really takes to donate blood, but how did you feel when you were able to do that?
I was really proud. I really was proud and a little scared. My technician was wonderful. I believe his name was Richard. I'm not sure, but he was so careful of me. And all of a sudden it was done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I barely got started. I hardly had time to talk to the girl across the way.
Right.
And he said, "You're done."
Yeah, there's probably more screening questions that once you get through those, then you can just continue.
Exactly.
So, first of all, I would be amiss if I didn't ask, how is your cancer survivor?
She's doing well. She's in a new program with a new drug, and we're thumbs up hoping. She's a fighter. She really is a fighter. So
She sure is.
We are positive.
Yeah. So what's her first name? For people watching, it's Sunday morning, some of us will go to church and say prayers for her or put her on our prayer list.
Susan.
Susan. All right,
Yes.
you tell Susan she's got a new army out there praying to lift her up.
That's wonderful.
And we can't think of anything better when we often feel helpless in those situations.
Yes,
than to have
prayers
that.
are the most
Praying is
important
not
part.
doing nothing. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And for you, now this longtime donor and recruiter.
Yes, right?
So
blood buddies.
That's what we were just talking about. When you bring someone else, you kind of get double the blessing, I guess.
Exactly. And you can make it fun because you can be like, let's go out and, grab a bite to eat afterwards or something like that. So.
Well, and you said you're a little bit scared. It's always a little easier if somebody's with you.
Yes. Well, and it was fun that morning because there were a lot of people. I have worked at that office, and so I had plenty of support that day.
Well, I hope that you'll continue to give because that's, if you can get it once and keep going, it makes such a difference.
I intend to.
And I know Hawksworth does this really cool thing where they have incentives. They're not really, we don't pay people for blood in this community, but they have little thank yous. And this month it is a Reds t-shirt, which is really cool. The offer applies July 1st through the 31st, coming up in the next month. And that's a good shirt to have right now. The Reds are on a streak, except for this past week for a night or two. And if you would like to set up an appointment, we want to make sure that you know that you can call 513-451-0910. Those appointments do promise the blood to area hospitals, so that way they know how many are coming in. So even if you can't do that right now, you're going on summer vacation, whatever, if you can do it in the near future, it lets them know that your donation will be there and available for use. We also always put a link to all the donation centers. If you'd rather make that appointment online, there's a neighborhood center near you. You can go to a drive, but where did you donate? Which site?
We had a mobile unit at our office.
Yeah.
So I work for Comey and Shepherd, and our assistant passed away last year, and she was the recipient of several blood transfusions, and she hated blood donation herself until she got sick. So we were talking a lot about how so many people need blood and often think, I can't possibly do that. We had so many first-time donors at our blood drive because they were doing it for Christina. So it was really awesome. I think sometimes that helps too.
That's a great idea, that maybe setting up something for your survivor or a person you love can make a difference. And that's how we get new donors. Because like you said, it's different when it becomes personal.
Yes.
I think we set a record that day, didn't we?
Well, yes, we did.
Did you? Yes.
41 units collected, and we had 40 last year. This was our second annual, so
Good
we're
job.
super excited. Next
Hey,
year, we've got a lot of pressure.
Congratulations. All right, well, you let us know when that drive is. We'll come out and honor some people there because that's how we get some of our great donors of the week, you guys.
Perfect.
Thanks
Thank you
for being
so
here
much.
today. It's a pleasure to honor you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right, just ahead, why we feel certain kinds of pain differently. New research in You're So Vain. And we welcome our team from the National Kidney Foundation. Perry's here with Jamie. Welcome back, guys. We know you want us to go play golf. We'll explain why. Coming up on What's Happening in Health.
This portion of What's Happening in Health is sponsored by Network for Hope, William E. Hesh Law, and Serene Sweets.
In You're So Vain today, leg veins that are occluded or blocked can cause lower legs to hurt. The Vein Center of Cincinnati can help treat those, acute pain or chronic or what's accumulated. But what's really interesting is there's a new study that sheds some light on why we feel short-term pain and chronic pain very differently. Hebrew University of Jerusalem found the brain has a built-in way to manage and reduce short-term pain and keep it from getting out of control. But researchers say that system does not respond the same way to long-term pain, which is why it can be so much more difficult for patients to manage. The hope is that finding this out can one day lead to better treatments for that chronic kind of pain. And by the way, if you are having acute or chronic pain in your lower legs, Vein Center of Cincinnati will evaluate you at no charge through a virtual consult. 513-232-2400. All right, in your healthy rights, food packaging is contaminating our food. You have a right to know this, and maybe even what you drink. Toxic chemicals from plastics are getting into our food and drink, according to a new study published in the journal NPJ Science. The new research shows that just opening grocery store items can contaminate your food with micro and nanoplastics. Things such as unwrapping deli meats or opening cartons of milk or juice can do this. Even glass bottles and jars they found with plastic-coated plastic closures can shed those microscopic bits of plastic pieces. Nanoplastics are so tiny they can migrate through our tissue into our bloodstream and distribute potentially harmful synthetic chemicals throughout the body. Now, this study recommends using stainless steel and glass containers whenever possible to avoid microwaving items in plastic containers, and even bring your own mug if you can to the office or the coffee store so you don't have to use plastics if you don't want to. They also say don't put plastics in the dishwasher because the heat can cause those chemicals to leach out. All right, just ahead, what to know to keep your cool and other things for good health and hotter temperatures. And the team from the DAV, or Disabled American Veterans, joining us today. They have a new partnership that could help those for caregiving. Want to say a special hello to a new guest here in-house. We're going to meet someone from their team coming up. His name is Ron Minter. Stay with us on What's Happening in Health.
The headline medical stories that affect you and your family. This is What's Happening in Health, sponsored by TriHealth.
Morning, everybody, and welcome back to our third half hour here on What's Happening in Health. So glad you are staying with us today. This half hour, those who need help with kidney transplants and much more, well, we're asking you to come play golf. We have our team from the National Kidney Foundation in Health. Welcome Senior Development Director Perry Hall and the Program Manager Jamie Brown. They want us to take a swing at good health. So glad you're in-house today. And the team from DAV, they help disabled American veterans, and they have a new caregiving partnership. They also provide many other community services. So we want to meet DAV's National Caregiver Support Program Director. His name is Ron Minter. So glad you're here today so we can learn a little bit more about what you and the team does in our community. All right, but first, a quick headline for you. It has been hot outside. Already the team at TriHealth's Good Samaritan Hospital telling us they're seeing people come into the emergency department with heat-related complications.
It's all because for those who work outside, this kind of heat index can be downright dangerous, according to nurse manager Bill Hawk.
What we're seeing is a lot of patients that are coming in, nausea, vomiting, headaches, weakness.
Those are the early warning signs. As heat exhaustion gets worse, your body temperature begins to rise and you head into symptoms of heat stroke. This can lead to confusion, agitation, slurred speech, and the inability to sweat.
The really classic sign is like that you're in trouble is if you stop sweating. Sweating is actually a way to cool the body. As soon as you stop sweating, that's a classic sign of the first sign of a heat stroke. So you need to get in cool, you need to call 911. The biggest thing is to cool the body down and get you fluids.
Boy, he's right about that. And one thing he wants all of us to know is that these kinds of symptoms can happen to anyone, even if you're in good health. He suggests the buddy system if you do need to spend time outdoors. And we have links to other cooling suggestions. They're inside the digital version of this story at what'shappeninginhealth.com. All right, in high-tech health today, we are learning more about how too much screen time can harm the mental health of younger people. New research from the University of Pittsburgh found excessive screen time can lead to lack of sleep, which impacts the connections of the brain. Teens who were spending a lot of time on their tablets and phones were found to have weaker connections in the parts of the brain that regulate emotion, as well as control memory and focus our attention. Just ahead, a warning about a common skin infection as you head to the pool or the park this summer. We'll tell you about it in Healthy Conditions. And our team from the National Kidney Foundation, Perry and Jamie, are hoping we'll all go golfing with them. We'll hear more about this special event and how it makes a difference in our community next on What's Happening in Health.
This portion is sponsored by Good Samaritan College of Nursing and Health Science and the Mental Health Recovery Board of Warren and Clinton Counties.
In Body by Design, the average person's weight used to be about 150 pounds. Now researchers have discovered, at least for women, that number is a bit higher. CDC now reports the average woman weighs about 171 pounds, but researchers say average is complex. The right weight for you is based on your body frame and height, and what's considered healthy for some people may not be considered for others. In Healthy Conditions today, as families head to the pools and parks this summer, experts are urging parents to watch for a common skin infection. It's called molluscum contagiosum. The virus actually causes those little raised bumps on the skin, and it can spread easily, mainly through towels and toys and pool equipment. Now, it's most common between the ages of 1 and 10, and it thrives in a warm, moist environment.
The most common place to get it is from another sibling. So in the home, a few things that you can try to do is, one, to switch off the towel and washcloth, between bathing.
Experts say most cases clear up on their own, but parents should avoid trying to pop or remove those bumps since they can make the infection worse or even spread it further. All right, on now to our wonderful team from the Kidney Foundation. Remind us who you are and what you do, Miss Perry.
I am Perry Hall, and I am the Senior Development Director for the National Kidney Foundation.
And give us a little history. This is personal for you.
It is. I've been a lifelong kidney patient, so I've had multiple blood transfusions with Children's Hospital here in Cincinnati. And then I started dialysis at the age of 30 and received a kidney transplant in 2011. Had a second baby with that transplant, or another child, I guess I should say, with that transplant, and then that failed in 2020, and then 2023, I ended up with another kidney transplant.
So how are you now?
Living life day by day, promoting all of the great things that the National Kidney Foundation does.
And you brought someone with you who can talk about those things. Hi, Jamie.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about you.
I'm Jamie Brown. I'm the program manager with NKF serving Cincinnati, and I'm a kidney patient as well. I have lupus nephritis, which is an autoimmune disorder that attacks healthy tissue in your body, and mine went for my kidneys. So.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So what I love is that has to be your story, is I love the differences in your stories, because I think there's a myth that the only thing you help people with are transplants. And many of these other conditions now, you work to support research, so we could at least reduce or maybe slow down the loss of kidney, right?
Yes, absolutely. And that's one of the big things we're trying to get out in the community, is talking about how many different disorders and diseases can impact your kidneys, and that you can stop and slow that kidney disease progression. Because when I got diagnosed, I had like 86% kidney functioning, and now I'm down to 74. It took lots of work and diet and exercise and following up on my meds and doctor's appointments, but there's definitely ways that you can slow and stop that kidney disease progression to not end up on dialysis or the kidney transplant waiting list. So
we never even had that until recently. So that is an important word for us to get out. I know you do that through a variety of events, and you're here today because you want us to go golfing. What does the golf tournament support?
Yes, so the NKF Golf Classic will be at TPC Rivers Bend on August 11th, and it really is to raise awareness and really pull in corporations that not only want to treat their clients to a good time playing golf, but also raise the awareness about organ donation and kidney health.
And I know we have a few pictures, kind of, since you're the development director and whatnot. Tell us what we can expect that day. What do you do? Do you have to be a golfer?
Yes, you do not have to be a golfer. We have two separate divisions. We have a gross and a handicap division. And the top 3 teams in both divisions get an invite to Pebble Beach in January. We do have a lot of fun activities. We have competitions with backswing, which is a female professional group of golfers that come out. And we also have the party cart, which was new last year, so that was a lot of fun. Jamie worked it for us. So, yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that.
The party cart. So we were just selling raffle tickets in an extra way to raise some funds for us to get out in the community and do fun things. And we decked it out. She had a big, like, blow-up duck on the top of it and streamers, and it was just a really good time. And then whoever won the raffle, they got to drive the party cart around the golf course the whole day and have some fun with it. And they got like water and drinks and snacks and all kinds of good stuff. So if you want a chance to be on the party cart, definitely come out and hang with us.
I think it's so fun because we saw that blow up duck, and I've never heard someone say ducked it out.
Oh yeah.
That's a new one on the terms here. So part of the reason though that we're kind of bragging on you and encouraging people to come is you do offer your support services and not charge people for that, right? So
Correct.
You need the funding from this for what kind of programs?
Yeah, so we have free resources online through our national office, so that's a part of the fundraising. So hotlines that patients can call. We have online information for patients who are looking for kidney transplants, for people who are looking to be a living donor. But then we also host those programs in person locally. So we do our Big Ask Big Give program, which replicates our online transplant programs, as well as a community support group that compensate for those hotlines and having a community in person, but then also educational programs for healthcare professionals and patients where they can learn more niche topics and hot button issues in kidney care.
Well, we appreciate all that you do. We know that there are more than 100,000 people on a waiting list for organs, and the majority of them are waiting for a kidney.
Yes.
So what you do, I know some days it probably feels like a thankless job, but you really change lives. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Let's put up the information about your golf tournament. Remind us again who, what, when, and where.
Yes, it is Monday, August 11th at TPC Rivers Bend.
And you need sponsors now and foursomes and people to sign up and drag friends and everything else.
All the fun things.
Yeah,
yes.
It's one of the few things you can actually ask your boss for a day off and not feel guilty about it. and guilt them into telling you, like, hey, if you don't get this day off, you're not supporting all this important work.
Yes.
So, you know, we love you guys. When I reached out to Perry, she's like, it might be us again. You are always welcome.
Yes.
You have survived this and shown us and not given up your spirit. And I just want to commend you for that, because I've had the privilege of knowing you through both those transplants, I think.
Yes.
And what a joy that you're still just bright and supportive and not giving up hope. And that sends a message. So thank you guys.
Thank you, Liz.
And you're showing
we
the
love
best.
you. Yes.
Back
Yes.
right at you. I feel the same way very much.
Thank you.
All right, coming up, could what you eat prevent an annoying ringing in your ears? We'll tell you more and listen to this. And the team from DAV. We're so excited to have someone from Disabled American Veterans on our set today. He is the caregiving director there, Ron Minter. We'll meet him next on What's Happening in Health.
This portion of What's Happening in Health is sponsored by Northern Kentucky Audiology, the Center for Closing the Health Gap, and Journey Light.
In Listen to This, new studies suggest that your diet could play a role in reducing your risk for tinnitus. Some people call it tinnitus, but I'm told the correct pronunciation is tinnitus. That's a ringing in your ears. An analysis of 8 studies found nutrition could lower the odds of having this happen worldwide. All it would take is more of us eating more fruits and vegetables. Now, eating more fruit was linked specifically to a 35% lower risk of developing tinnitus. Dairy products reduced risk 17%. Caffeine made a difference, believe it or not, 10%. And fiber, often found in those vegetables, by 8%. In Healthy Innovations, the American Heart Association invites all of us to learn bystanders CPR to help save lives. One of the new teaching tools, this kiosk at Findlay Market. It is designed to teach hands-only CPR and is part of a growing trend to help people realize that most heart events actually happen away from home.
We have a statistic that right now 65% of Americans aren't confident to perform CPR, and that's led to a dismal 10% chance of survival rate from a cardiac arrest. So we want everyone across the country to feel empowered to perform CPR.
If CPR is administered within about 6 minutes of a cardiac arrest, it not only ups the odds of survival, but it can significantly reduce the odds of brain damage due to oxygen deprivation. All right, on now to our wonderful team from the DAV. I know you are the support person for caregivers. Tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, so my name's Ron Minter, and I'm the DAV Caregiver Program Support Director at our national headquarters in Erlanger, Kentucky. Thank you for having us here this morning with you, and look forward to discussing our program and all the great things we're able to do for our caregivers.
We are so excited to have you because we drive by that big sprawling building, and we know that you get a lot of support in our community, but we haven't had a chance to have you on the show. So we have a little video of kind of your programs in general. Let's just talk about what's the DAV and what do you do?
Yeah, great. Thanks for asking. So at DAV, we've been around for nearly 105 years now, providing free programs and services to veterans of all eras, their families and their survivors and their caregivers. Those programs, some of the ways we're able to deliver that is through our service program representing veterans and assisting them with claims before the Department of Veterans Affairs for their benefits, whether they be compensation as a result of disabilities incurred in service, Veterans Health Administration, enrollment in VA health care, educational benefits. We have our legislative team in Washington, D.C. at our service headquarters there that are constantly lobbying day in and day out on the Hill for not just a continuation of our existing benefits, but additional benefits to better serve our veteran community. We have our employment program conducting job fairs around the country to include virtual job fairs as well. So we're really proud of that, and important to note, it's not just about the veterans, it's their spouses as well, and not forgetting about them in that process. And we have our transportation network that's we go around the country within all the VA hospitals, or the majority of them, and outlying clinics. We're able to provide free transportation to veterans to and from their VA medical appointments, whom otherwise may not have the ability to access that health care. And that entire program is run by volunteers, so we really encourage people to get out in the community and volunteer and give back to these men and women who serve. It's very critical. And of course, our caregiving program that we're certainly super proud of, and just formalized that program in November of 2024, so we're continuing to expand that.
I didn't know that was newer. I wondered why I hadn't heard about it, and then I saw a release from one of your team members, and she said that you were partnering, and I was like, my goodness, I've not heard about you with caregiver support. So talk to me about that. What do you do?
So, and to go back a little bit, Liz, DAV has supported caregiving over the years, typically through legislative initiatives and efforts, and now with the formalization of the program. What we do is we provide custom tailored plans and resources to the caregivers of our nation's veterans, or any veteran that may be caring for a loved one or someone else. Our program is notwithstanding any entitlement or enrollment into VA. So we want everybody that served, or veterans caring for a loved one, or family members caring for a veteran, to reach out to us, and they can do that by reaching out to davcaregivers.org to learn more about the program. All we ask for is about 10 minutes of sweat equity. Take the screening process, go through that, and what that does, it allows the caregiver support specialist to better place you in your caregiving journey so they can start customizing that tailored plan for each caregiver. Not one size fits all. That may be making phone calls, connection to medical equipment, financial resources and support within the local community, just a variety of things. We want to keep caregivers in a healthy place, because if they reach that point of burnout, what kind of quality care are they able to provide for their loved one or for the veteran? And in most cases. So.
You know, and they fought for our freedom. You know, the soldier's daughter, I got to tell you, I like to hear you. It's just heartwarming to hear you saying we're not just caring for that patient, but we're caring for the people who care for them. So I wonder what kind of feedback you get about caregivers and sort of a little bit about what that brings. Because, you know, if you're a veteran and you need that person, my goodness, what a difference they make.
Absolutely, and we have so many things in place today, and we've done nothing but improve the care and the assistance that is available to veterans and through the VA as well, and through DAV's programs and services. But our programming is specific to the caregiver themselves. And one of the stories that was relayed back to me, we had a young lady serving as a caregiver, and she went into the program, our DAV Caregiver Support Program, and came back and says, "It's amazing. It's about me as the caregiver." And it tells you we've got a lot of work to do. It's a much needed program. You know, the RAND study that was released last year revealed there's over 14.3 million caregivers in the veteran and military community. We have a lot of work to do. Another story, a couple that are in our caregiving program, a spouse caring for the husband who was a veteran, talking with them, and then I kind of went back to the veteran and said, where would you be without your caregiver? I wanted to hear that perspective as well. And very succinctly, he said there would be an empty chair at the dinner table, there'd be an empty chair at my kid's graduation, if not for my caregiver. And I try not to refer to them as a spouse all the time, because it's important that they be recognized as a caregiver. Their stories need to be heard, and more importantly, they need to be told as well. And just allow yourself, it's not just your inherent duty to care for a loved one, but go out and be recognized, allow us to recognize you. We have so much that we need to do to support you in your caregiving role. And another story, if I may share with you, I attended a caregiver summit back in December, and they had 3 panelists that presented, and after they were done, they went back to them independently and said, what would you do with an hour of respite? And respite's such a critical thing for caregivers, because the least thing they have is time available to them. Your typical answer was, I'd go out and just have a meal on a patio, be able to take that deep breath and not have to worry about anything else. They get to this one panelist, and you know what her answer was? What I would do with an hour of respite is go and get a colonoscopy. And I kind of was taken aback a little bit, and I thought about it for a second, and it immediately dawned on me how super important it is for us to be able to support them, give them that time to keep themselves in a better place, avoiding that point of burnout.
Well, and if you're not well, you cannot care for the person who needs you. So,
indeed.
Yeah. So we will put links to some of your services. We'd love to have you, maybe when you have a family willing to brag on you a little bit, have you come back with a caregiver, because we do know that this is sort of a silent concern a lot of people have, and nobody's talking about it. So we're grateful that you are.
Yeah, and again, if you think you may benefit from our program, or if you know anyone in the veteran community or a veteran caring for a loved one, please reach out to us at davcaregivers.org for any additional information we may be able to provide. And that's for all our other programs and services as well.
And we want to say thank you for your service, which was where?
I was forward deployed out of Coronado, California, by way of Atsugi, Japan at the Air Base, and was with the 7th Fleet there.
Thank you.
You bet.
Thanks for what you do to support them, and thanks for fighting for our freedom. We appreciate that.
Absolutely, and thank you for allowing us to come on and share our message about caregivers and the
Well, now you're trained. You're coming back. Your team's in. We're glad to have you. We really are.
Thank you so much.
We applaud you. All right, up next, those hot temperatures outside could also affect your mental health. We're going to explain why coming up in what we hope you know about your mental health each week here on What's Happening in Health.
This portion of What's Happening in Health is sponsored by Mount St. Joseph University, Elder Law Lawyers, and Advanced Cosmetic Surgery and Laser Center.
Before you go, hope you know, which is what we hope you know about your mental health each week. Extreme heat isn't just tough on your body, it can also take a toll on your mental health. Experts from Massachusetts General Hospital say high temperatures can trigger symptoms of anxiety, depression, even suicidal thoughts or substance use, especially in those who are already struggling with these concerns.
Mental health and extreme heat is a real issue. We know people with mental health issues have high rates of emergency room admissions in the context of heat waves.
Experts do recommend checking the heat index and, of course, staying hydrated and having cool places to escape the temperatures. And if you know someone struggling with mental health concerns, you always can reach out on 988. The Suicide Crisis Lifeline line is available 24/7. Before we go, quick headlines. Study published by the Journal of the American Medical Association looked at data over the last few decades, found that a good number is on the decline, and it's likely due to medical advancements in better care. It shows us that infant deaths are on the decline. However, sadly, some of them have gone up actually 2% due to malnutrition. Finally, women who have complications during pregnancy are at a higher risk for stroke. Even decades later, a study by UT Health Houston showed that pregnancy functions as a sort of stress test for the body. It can lead to complications later and should be an early warning sign for heart disease. Tell your doctor if you had that, and come back next week, same time. We'll be here. Hope you will be too. Until then, everybody, stay well and stay tuned.